Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Darren, for inviting me here today. Some fascinating speakers earlier. Those of you who don't know back to the story, we're a food service business. We primarily deliver food and hospitality within the workplace. So within clients such as many have been talked about today, such as Royal Bank of Scotland, Nationwide, BT, Microsoft, etc. And we provide the restaurants, hospitality, coffee bars, delis within those environments. So what I want to talk to you today is a little bit about our sustainability, and then specifically around our food waste project. Food waste within hospitality and catering is clearly a huge issue, and has massive issues on environment, society, and obviously finance. So, as I mentioned, back to story with the UK's leading independent hospitality business. And independent is quite important, so the owners of our business run our business. We have an absolute focus on delivering excellent fresh food, locally sourced, seasonal, UK sourcing. So it's quite interesting to hear what Christy was saying around supply chain and risk within supply chain. And it's very easy for us to be complacent around that, thinking, well, actually, 90% of our product is from the UK, therefore we're okay with climate change coming around the corner, and if it's not already here, it may not be affecting us now, but it's very, very soon will be. So we certainly can't be complacent. We began our journey towards a sustainable business in 2006. I took on that role then, and when I was half and half within operations. So I have a catering background. I started out as a chef many years ago, but I have an operational background, which gives me a great insight to working with operators within the business, chefs, managers, and so on, in terms of understanding what they're going through and what is possible and what isn't possible. So I see it from their point of view. So where we started in 2006, we thought we needed a framework to hang all our different initiatives and objectives off. And we started off by achieving ISO 14001 in 2007. And we followed that up last year with ISO 50001, which is our energy management system, which is our route to compliance for ESOS. Our aim is to be a sustainable business, which is very easy to say, but it's not a business that does sustainability, and there is a key difference. A business that does sustainability, that for whatever reason that may be, whether it's for marketing, PR, for sales opportunities, or whatever it may be, but I really want our business to become, to be a business that is underpinned by sustainability. And working to the old cliches that it's within our DNA and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's got to be, if it's going to be taken seriously, and it's got to be instilled in every different level of the organisation. So where we started on food waste was with WRAP, and in 2012 WRAP was approached by the 4 UK governments to reduce food waste and increase recycling rates. They came up with the Hospitality and Food Service Agreement, of which we were a founding signatory, as I said, in 2012. According to WRAP, 1.3 million meals a year are wasted within the hospitality and food service sector. And part of that programme, the Hospitality and Food Service Agreement, I was elected chair of the working group, which gave me a fantastic opportunity to pull together some fantastic ideas from across the business. It was very much a Chatham House rules type programme, so we were all in it together. All our competitors, we were all in it together. And obviously you always have to walk that fine line of intellectual property, thinking, how much should we say and how much shouldn't we say? But ostensibly, we all worked together and we made some amazing savings. So what do we do? Well, we have a proprietary accounting system, which is in the cloud, called Evolution, which is our finance and bookwork system. And we basically looked at how we could upgrade that so we could look at reporting our food waste. And within the Hospitality and Food Service Agreement, food waste was split into three key categories. And that was production waste, spoilage waste, and plate waste. Plate waste is obvious. Anything that's left on the customer's plate, anything that comes back from hospitality. Production waste is anything that is bones, trimmings, leftover food from the end of service that you haven't actually been able to deliver. And spoilage waste is effectively it's spoiled. For whatever reason, it's been not prepared properly, it's gone out of date, it's fallen on the floor, for whatever reason, it can't be served. So we're splitting food waste into those three categories. And in order for us to be able to report that effectively and then pull together data, we decided that we were going to upgrade our reporting system. And there's two little screenshots there, you won't be able to see the detail. But basically, at the end of every week, the managers and chefs couldn't close their weekly bookwork without inputting the data into those boxes. So it was quite, there was a little bit of stick, but a lot of carrot around it as well, in terms of giving people reasons why they'd want to do it. And I'll come on to that in a second. So basically, at the end of during the production day, the guys in the kitchen would be producing food waste in all its forms, and then weighing that on their scales and what have you. And it's quite interesting that I actually looked originally at sourcing different types of containers and scales and bags and all sorts of things, and then looking at how I could distribute that throughout the business through 650 locations across the UK. And I thought, well, actually, this is slightly ridiculous. They're all grown-ups. They can actually work it out themselves. They've all got an old mayonnaise bucket. They've all got scales. They can just do it themselves, rather than go through all that whole complex logistical process of trying to source product and get it out to each individual business, depending on how many they needed. So that's what they were doing. And they're very, very simple. Weighing in kilos the food waste, applying it to a spreadsheet, and then entering it onto the Evolution system once a week. That allows me to pull the data through on a weekly and a monthly basis. The system also pulls through food and beverage purchase numbers. So I can actually see the level of food waste related to the amount of purchases on any given week, given month. And we did that by actually applying a cost per kilo for the food waste. And there are systems out there, or lots of technology systems out there, that allow you to use exact numbers depending on what the food waste is. Clearly, a kilo of bread is going to be a different value to a kilo of steak. Well, actually, we decided that for the start of our project, which has actually been going for 2 years now, we would actually stick with a single number. And we based that number around wrap data. And also, I got some of our chefs to actually roughly cost some food waste on average, and we came out at an arbitrary figure of £1.70 a kilo. And that's what we've been looking at, and that's what we've worked at ever since. In reality, we're more likely food waste, when you cost in labour and packaging and energy and so on, you're looking at probably more like £3 a kilo for everything you throw away. That's a huge amount of money, and I'll come on to that in a second. So along with the process of weighing and reporting, we needed to embed some behavioural change cultures. And we had a process of a health and safety package of training called Training Tuesdays. Called Tuesdays only because it was first done on a Tuesday. It's very original. But the actual process worked really, really well for us, and it's a toolbox session. And I'm sure you've all come across toolbox training sessions. But specifically within catering and the hospitality sector, you've got guys that have been around since 6:30 this morning. The last thing they want to do is hang around and do a 2-hour training session. So actually a 20-minute bite of a given subject works really, really well. In health and safety, we do that on slips and trips and manual handling and so on. But actually in this sphere, I decided I've got a whole portfolio of them now, from food waste, energy and energy efficiency, waste and recycling. I've also got some of the food assurance schemes, such as Marine Stewardship Council and so on and so forth, and how to achieve that. So the training part was really, really key, and everybody in the whole business has done that at every single level. It's peer-led. It's maybe 5-10 slides maximum, with a flip chart, asking questions, and really, really interactive and getting feedback. So how do you think we can reduce food waste? What are we doing? What are your tips and ideas for reducing food waste? Including things, and I was talking to some colleagues at lunchtime around some of the things that aren't necessarily thought about when you actually, from a hospitality point of view, in terms of reducing food waste. And that's how we buy the food, where we're buying the food from, how we're actually preparing food, and what we can do with the waste to actually reuse it, maybe thinking of the circular economy, opportunities around that, for different foodstuffs. So for example here, there's a picture here. You'll have all seen on the top left-hand corner the orange juice style machine that squeezes fresh orange juice. You see them all over the place, but they produce a huge amount of waste. And you think, well, that's just crazy. It might be lovely orange juice, but actually, all that just gets thrown away. Well, actually, we've got a location. It was and I didn't come up with the idea. I've taken the idea from one of our locations that was doing it, following the training they'd had, and they actually make all the squished orange peels and husks into marmalade, and then sell it for charity in their site. So it's just a fantastic idea of actually getting a really, really good product out of something else. And it's all the usual stuff like, keeping bread crusts and everything else, and making breadcrumbs and using those breadcrumbs, and all that sort of stuff, which we probably do, but you maybe not think about why you do it. An example there of a butternut squash with a peeler and a knife. And this is one example of the training that we've been doing. So we actually have, if you peel a butternut squash with a knife and peel it with a peeler, clearly the amount of weight of peelings is significantly more. And I don't know if you can see those numbers on there, but the weight of, on a particular example that we used, in grams, the weight of the peelings when you use a peeler was 40 grams, and with a knife it was 340 grams. So actually, not only are you increasing the weight, but you're also increasing the amount of butternut squash that you've got left. So you've got more to serve, which has an impact on obviously on your sales and your margins. Overall, that was a 750% more waste with a knife. And that's just an example of different ways you can think about it. We actually then went a stage further. But when you've actually peeled the butternut squash with a peeler, you've got really thin peelings. If you actually deep fry those with some smoke, and then add some smoked paprika and some salt, you get a fantastic, really crunchy little snack. So actually, you're using every opportunity. When you're chopping a leek, a lot of people will chop off the end and stop at the white part and use that and throw the rest away. Well, actually, the rest of it, if you chop it finely, give it a wash, mirepoix it into your soup, blitz it down, is fantastic. So actually, it's just thinking a little bit differently as to thinking, oh, that's just all waste. And interestingly, and this is wrap data, but we've definitely borne it out, is that just the process of segregating your food waste, the realization of how much waste you've got in one place will generally drive down your waste by around 20%. And I think you could probably all see that, because it's more and more common that we have food waste recycling at home now. And we all have, a lot of authorities do that. And you'll have probably noticed that actually when you have a food waste recycling bin at home, and you've bought something, you've bought a bag of salad, and then you end up emptying it straight into the food waste bin, you sort of really feel it and you notice it. Whereas if it's just a bit in the bin over here and a bit in the bin over there, it's not really, you're not really aware of how much you're throwing away until you actually see it all in one place. It does make a huge difference. So our results overall have been quite fantastic. And over 2 years, we've reduced our food waste by nearly 36%. And that's 1,900 tonnes of food waste across our business, which is quite staggering. And I base that on 9.1 kilos of CO2 per kilo of food waste. That's on a life cycle impact of farm to fork, most of which is actually before it even gets to our kitchen from the growing process. But not only is it saving us huge amounts of money, it's saving our clients huge amounts of money, because within food service, in probably 99% of cases, it's our clients that pay for the waste. So we're actually using the waste streams that are available on their sites. So they're paying for it, so we're reducing their costs. We're also reducing their energy costs, because we're not preparing the food and we're not throwing it away. So based on 9.1 kilos of CO2 per kilo of food waste, that's equivalent to taking 4,500 cars off the road for a year. That's based on 25,000 kilometres for a car. So it's quite fantastic. It's huge environmental impact reduction, huge cost saving, huge energy saving, and obviously from a social point of view, apart from the the moral point of view that it's just criminal to be throwing that food away when we have so many people across the world that are starving. But also from a production point of view, we're buying local seasonal food. Actually, those guys that are making food locally don't want to be thinking of it being thrown away. So, hopefully we're leading by example. We'd like to think that we are, within the food service sector, we're leading the way in terms of sustainability and the wider piece, but certainly within food waste. It was interesting to hear earlier about anaerobic digestion. I sit on the board of ADBA, which is the Anaerobic Digestion and Bioresources Association, as the link between the anaerobic digestion business and food and hospitality to try and get more food waste, more unavoidable food waste through the anaerobic digestion process. We've had quite a lot of articles and press and what have you. Earlier, a month or so ago, we were very fortunate enough to win the BIFM Impact on Sustainability Award for our project, which we've called Food Waste Costing the Earth. And just recently found out that we're also finalists for the ED Sustainability Leaders Award, again for the same project, which we're very excited about. And that's a black tie in January, so that'll be something to look forward to over the Christmas period. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I think I've been talking for around 20 minutes, but that's me. Feel free to ask any questions or catch me afterwards. I'm around on the panel afterwards. And thank you very much indeed.